Hello, everyone. I apologize if there's any background noise. There's cat and multiple people in the house. But yeah, for this week, I was looking at chapter 18 from the text, and that's the chapter on studying motivational interviewing. And basically, that just kind of looks into like the science behind MI, how it started, how it's progressed, what the evidence says, and how we're going to use it in real practice. So, uh, the section walks through how MI evolved from a simple person centered counseling approach into one of the most evidence based methods used today. So, it kind of started with people in substance abuse, and that's been my experience using MI. One of my practicums was at 7 counties within the addictions department. So MI was a huge part of everything that we were doing there, and in the substance use population, I could see it have a direct impact on clients, and it was really cool to do that. But yeah, it's expanding as well, and it's expanding in areas like healthcare, mental health, criminal justice, and even education, and basically anywhere where people need any sort of behavioral change. MI has probably been applied, and it's shown to work. So, in this chapter, the authors they kind of focus on three key questions that researchers ask about MI. That's uh, does it actually work? How does it work? And then why does it work better in some situations than others? So, does it actually work? The research says yes. I mean, there's decades worth of studies, and then MI has been shown to help people cut back on substance use, improve treatment adherence, and follow through on goals. And yeah, I've seen MI applied into the substance use population, and like I said earlier, it has a drastic impact. It's really cool. Um, but it tends to be effective early in treatment when someone's still unsure or hesitant about making a change, and I think that's kind of why it started in substance abuse. Just the population, that's kind of the mindset. I feel like a lot of the times. But then the second question is, how does it work? So that's where the change talk comes in. So when clients kind of start saying things like, I want to, I could, or I think I'm ready, those statements, they predict future behavior change. Now, on the other hand, when a conversation is filled with sustained talk, things like, I don't need to, or it's not that bad, that person usually stays stuck. So the counselor's goal isn't to really like push or convince, but to guide and reflect the change talk. So the client, starts intrinsically making the motivation in their own head, and so they're going to do it for themselves, and they're going to follow through. Now, the third question: why does MI work better in some situations than others? That's where fidelity comes in. So that's how well a counselor sticks to the spirit of MI. It works great when they stick to it, but in a lot of situations, and especially I saw it in the substance abuse population, uh, counselors get way too friendly, and it kind of breaks that true MI. But MI, how it's studied and measured. So, like, basically, when we're looking at effectiveness, one of the main tools used is the MIDI, and that's the Motivational Interviewing Treatment Integrity Scale. So, it helps evaluate how accurately a counselor uses MI in a session. The MIDI separates genuine MI practice from sessions that sound familiar but don't really build motivation or change talk. And that kind of plays into the last thing, like the conversations that don't really build motivation or change talk. Those are the same counselors that aren't sticking to the true MI spirit. So, what kind of stood out to me personally was how much the counselor's tone and attitude mattered. That empathy is really just a crucial part here, and that's why I like using it a lot. I also liked how the authors described MI as like a science and an art. So you can study it, teach it, measure it, but it boils down to having that, empathy, that human connection. Then that's what makes it powerful, in my opinion. But how it connects to my practice, nowadays I'm in the dean of students office, so it doesn't play a huge role like it did when I was over in the substance abuse population, but uh, looking at the substance abuse population, my experience in it, it kind of gives you time to get to know the client, let them open up however they want to, and you can kind of slow it down and then build a relationship 'cause you know they're going to be there for 8 to 12 weeks or something. So it was a lot easier to do in that setting versus my setting now where people are kind of in and out, resolve an issue, gone, try and not hear from them again. But yeah, chapter 18, I mean, it showed me like the science and compassion aspect too, because, I always kind of looked at it from the compassionate aspect, but it works and it proves that empathy, along with partnership, understanding, in a therapeutic process, they're evidence based tools that can create change.